SQuire Rushnell and Louise DuArt are another great husband and wife team. They created the best-selling Dogwinks book series. I think they wrote their new book just for me. It's called Dogwinks. True Dogwinks stories of dogs and the blessings they bring. Would you welcome back to our show two of my dear friends, SQuire Rushnell and Louise DuArt. Great to have you guys back.
Great to see you. Sorry about your pop.
Well, thank you. You know, when we had this scheduled, this was long before I knew that both of our dogs in my family would pass away within a 3-week period. I saw you coming up and I said, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one to get through. But thank you, and thank you for this beautiful book.
Thank you.
It's
Dogwinks.
Yes, and you know, dogs and God are very similar if you think about it, because God gives dogs these attributes that he has. Gentle and kind and unconditional love, faithful, always there in the moment. Yes.
And you know, a Godwink is one of those little coincidences that you know is not a coincidence, but comes from a divine origin. But a dogwink is simply a true Godwink story that has a dog right in the center.
I mean, who doesn't love great dog stories? That's what this is, a compilation. But these are true stories.
All true.
So do you have a favorite, Louise, or SQuire?
The first story that's in this book is actually going to be our first Netflix movie that's going to be coming out next year. And this is the story of Ruby, a 7-month-old pup who was high energy because she's Australian Shepherd and Border Collie. And then she was at the SPCA in Providence. Now, the lady trainer there was by the name of Pat Inman. She would get the dogs ready for their adoption interviews, you know, to make sure they put the best paw forward, you know. But Ruby was unmanageable and returned 5 different times and had nipping on the report, and that got the lawyers all afraid. And so Ruby was on the euthanasia line list. She was going to be put down in 2 hours. Pat said, you can't do that to Ruby. Ruby is such a beautiful dog. Can't you call the state police, the canine unit? Maybe they'll take her. They said they'd never taken any of our dogs. They get these dogs that cost $15,000 bred for search and rescue. She said, well, can you try? She left and she said, I can't even bear to look back and find out what happened to poor Ruby. Well, they felt guilty, and so they thought they'd try her idea, and so they called the commander of the state police. A Godwink. For the first time, his budget had been cut. He wanted a dog that was going to match with a young officer named Trooper Dan. So he said, well, I'll take a look at this rescue dog. Well, he matched him up. 2 years went by. Cold night in Providence. Freezing weather. There was a boy lost in the woods. They sent out the canine unit. Ruby gets there, goes into the woods. Officer Dan follows and catches up, finds Ruby at the bottom of a ravine, licking the face of the boy, all bloodied. He has a very faint pulse. The other team come, they put the boy on the stretcher, take him to the hospital. Now, Officer Dan goes to visit the parents to tell them the good news, and they say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then the mother says, but officer, have you ever heard of a dog named Ruby? He said, ma'am, Ruby is the dog that just saved your boy. And she said, my name is Pat Inman. I'm the volunteer trainer who advocated for Ruby to live. I never knew what happened. He said, ma'am, that means that the dog you saved is the dog who saved your son's life.
Okay, we're done. That's it. Oh, my soul.
That's a Dogwink.
No wonder that's going to be a Netflix special.
That's going to be a Netflix movie.
Look at us.
It's a wonderful, wonderful reminder of that in Dogwinks. These books, Dogwinks books, have sold over 1 million copies. There's a reason for that. People are truly attracted to what those stories are. This one, Dogwinks, is available right now, and you can find it and the rest of the books and then share your own Godwink or Dogwink story at Dogwinks.com. Also, follow Dogwinks on social media for some much-needed daily inspiration.